Hello Lee, thank you for joining us today. So, Eversheds Sutherland have moved into the alternative legal services market through Conexo. What are your views on this market?
Well, it's a big market and a growing market. I mean, I think if you look at some of the publicity that, for example, the Thomson Reuters report has, I think in 2019 this market was estimated to be around £14 billion, and it's growing and growing, and it's a market, an opportunity that I think if we look ahead, we'll see that in a few years' time the 14 billion number is low. What interests me about how this is described, though, this sort of alternative legal service market, in effect it's actually the legal services market, and all we're looking at is how certain companies within that market, the legal services market, deliver products which meet clients' needs. And I think if we look at technology and the changing face of how services are being delivered across every sector, the legal services sector is clearly going to be impacted by that. At the moment we're describing it as alternatives, but actually I just think we should look at it as how do we provide legal services.
If you're considering it as legal services, what was your vision behind Conexo?
It was to be ambitious and brave, really. I mean, I think there's a lot of innovation and great thought processes within law firms, but sometimes I think they can be blamed rightly for being slightly conservative about how they bring change to the market and how ambitious they are. So Conexo was about saying, look, we know that the legal services sector is changing. We've got to be brave about that. So let's make ourselves very clearly distinguished in the marketplace. Let's make sure that we get the right people with the right attitude in that part of our business, and let's empower them to look at the opportunities that exist within the sector. And let's not look at it in a completely traditional way that potentially a law firm would.
And how does the firm and Conexo work together?
I hope seamlessly. I mean, that's certainly, you asked about what was the vision. One of those things was freeing up thought and ambition and making sure the investment was there. But the other was about taking to market something that was combined in the sense of it had all of the benefits of a legal firm, but it had the agility of effectively a startup in the way that it could pursue opportunities. But I think if you look at some of the projects that we've delivered, you'll see there's two fundamental sort of models here. One is where we work hand in glove with the legal firm and how we take that proposition to clients. I think effectively has been shown to be very powerful. Our clients are very reassured in the way that we can say how we work together. The track record of how projects have been delivered across a number of areas shows that that can be done very effectively, but also that Conexo has the ability to deal with clients outside of the law firm model as well on its own in relation to specific areas of work. And that was always the plan.
In your view, what is the importance of technology to Conexo?
I think it's fundamental. I think if you look at the changes that are taking place in the legal services sector, a lot of that is driven by changes in technology. And right at the outset, we wanted Conexo to become known for how it was delivering client-facing technology solutions. And we made sure that we had both the investment and the people to help us develop those products. And I think the track record, since Conexo was created in 2019, shows that a significant amount of technology has been developed within the team. Now that isn't in isolation from the rest of the business. It's very much about working together hand in glove, but it's also making sure that we are not hamstrung in relation to the speed at which we develop and deploy technology.
Looking ahead, what are some of the challenges for our clients and how does Conexo play its part?
Well, I think there isn't a board of directors of any company in any part of the world saying, let's spend more on legal services next year. They're all saying, how do we make sure that we use lawyers effectively to deal with the work they should be dealing with, and they're delivering value. And I think we've got to respond to that challenge, which will be, we're not going to do things that we did them in the same way 20 years ago. We're going to do them in the way that delivers what clients need now in a cost-effective way, which brings value to the market. And I think that is about not just thinking to ourselves, let's cut our prices. It's about thinking about how do we do things differently. Now, that doesn't mean that we are looking just to make sure that Conexo is only about price, not at all. But we have to recognise the fact that the market is changing and our clients want to see us adopting and adapting to those changes.
Thank you for your time, Lee.